guys, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys some tips and tricks that I use to sidestep Poshmark burnout. As most of you guys who are sellers on Poshmark already know, in order to make sales on Poshmark, you have to be very interactive. You have to be posting items regularly. You have to be sharing your items regularly and interacting with other people. So Poshmark is one of the more social of the selling apps out there. And because of that, I know it can definitely take a toll on a lot of us sellers, especially those of us who have full-time jobs outside of Poshmark, and definitely also people who Poshmark is their full-time. My first tip for sidestepping Poshmark burnout is to treat Poshmark like you would a regular 9 to 5. So if you were clocking in, you're clocking out. And I know obviously a lot of us, choose a side hustle like Poshmark, or turn it into our full-time position, because not only do we love thrifting, we love everything about the resale community, and we also love to be able to call ourselves our own boss and make our own hours and all of that. But with that being said, I also know that it's difficult to essentially clock out. It's difficult whenever all it takes is a chime of the phone or a notification with an offer or a customer asking you a question to remove you from whatever that moment that you're currently in, to now going back to work. So I think set hours that you sit in front of your computer or your phones or your tablets or whatever. I think that's something that can definitely be useful, because it forces you to use those hours that you do have set aside, using them wisely while you're on Poshmark sharing or listing or whatever. And I think it's an amazing way for us to pace ourselves throughout the day. My next tip for sidestepping the Poshmark burnout is to actually taking time from Poshmark. So a lot of us, when we work for someone else, we will take vacation, and it might be a week, it might be a couple of days, or we'll take mental health days or whatever it is. I think it's very important to do the same with Poshmark, simply because it's on your phone, it's right there, it's very accessible. And I remember initially when I got to the point where I felt like I needed to take a break, I felt really guilty. I love Poshmark. I love being able to be my own boss, even if it's in just the space of a side hustle. I love everything about it. I love sourcing and all of that. But I also love to be able to do that with a clear mind, and it's very difficult to do that when you're constantly 7 days a week just waiting for the next offer, or going out and looking for the next thing. You're constantly going sourcing and all of that, and you're not always looking at things with a fresh eye. Treating yourself to some sort of vacation, some sort of a step back, giving yourself a break from Poshmark, I think is incredibly healthy, and something that we all need to do as sellers on Poshmark, especially if it's something that you're looking to turn into a business. It's very healthy to give yourself some time. As hard as it is, I know I've definitely been guilty of just going and going and going. So that is my second tip to sidestepping the burnout on Poshmark. The next tip that I have for you to deal with Poshmark burnout, or to make sure that you don't get to that space where you feel like you're burnt out while on the Poshmark app, is to diversify your listings or the platforms that you list on. So instead of just listing on Poshmark, listing on eBay as well, or listing on Mercari or Amazon or what have you, checking out a couple more apps, a couple more sites that you're interested in being a seller on, kind of alleviates the stress of constantly feeling like you have to share your closet or you have to list. Once you list an item on Poshmark, you can go ahead and you can cross-list that same item. Therefore, you're still putting your item out there to be sold, but you're putting it on a lot of different platforms. For me personally, using 2 platforms is perfect. That's enough for me. But I also know people who sell on Mercari, they sell on Poshmark, and they'll sell on eBay, and that works perfectly fine with them. And I know it sounds like a lot of work, but I think in the long run, just looking at different sites, changing it up a little bit might definitely help you with being burnt out if Poshmark is your go-to, if it's your number one, and that's where you get a bulk of your selling done. My final tip for dealing with the Poshmark burnout, or making sure that you don't get to that point, would be hiring an assistant. So that can be either a virtual assistant or someone who you know in your day-to-day life that you trust and you're okay with giving all your information to sign into your Poshmark account. Now, I know this is not a feasible option for everyone either. It's that Poshmark is your side hustle and you're obviously there to make some side cash, and you're not trying to give a cut of that to someone else. Or B, you just don't trust someone to give them that much access to your information to Poshmark. But for those of you guys who would be interested, there are many sites, and I can't think of any off the top of my head right now, but I have checked out many of those sites before as far as hiring a virtual assistant. And what I've seen is that some of them will share your closet, let's say 2 times a day, and they'll charge you, X amount of dollars for sharing your closet that many times. Or some people will post that they'll share your closet and they will list X amount of items for you. They can share through their own personal closets, or they can share via your closet, which means you will have to give them access to your stuff. Again, this is not something that is feasible for everyone, but if this is something that you choose to do, I think it's a great way to alleviate a lot of that stress of constantly having to go sourcing and sharing and posting and all of that. If you have someone who you can pay, to do XYZ for you a couple times a week, or, every other week, or whatever might, be the best course of action for you. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found the information that I shared with you all in regards to dealing with the Poshmark burnout, or preventing yourself from getting to the point of being burned out. I hope you find that information useful. Feel free to comment below if any of the things that I shared today is something that you've already been doing in your Poshmark closet, or if any of these have piqued your interest and it's something that you want to try out moving forward to alleviate some of that stress.